Warning, this video may contain content that may not be suitable for children or anyone else that is easily offended. Strong language, graphic content, nudity, bad jokes, and a possible idiot, aka myself, may be featured in the following clip. Viewer discretion is advised. Channel is not responsible for any damages that you receive watching this video.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Zems, and welcome back to another reaction video. This video is by Mr. Ballen. It's called Top 3 Photos Disturbing Backstories Part 10. So you guys have to make sure you swoop down the description box, cut on a link and watch the video in entirety because I'm going to be pausing and stopping and talking through the whole thing. Bring me those subscribers. Thank you guys so much for the 6,500 subscribers, man. Keep doing what you guys are doing, and the videos will keep coming. If you guys can get your channel, Reprisalzems, and welcome to the Crow's Nest. This video was recommended to me by Emily, one of my long-term subscribers, so I really appreciate you recommending this video. I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of started a little bit in the beginning. I could kind of find out which day it was, because you remember when it first started, it was like 3 to 4, it was like 4 to 5, and it was 2 to 3, then it was 1 to 2, and all that stuff like that. So if anybody's a long-term Mr. Baller follower, then you would know that he's changed his intro a couple of times. So I had to do it in order for me to get it right, because you know I like to copy and promote the same energy. But for now, let's get it. Let's go.
Today, I'm going to share with you 3 progressively more disturbing stories, and at the end of each of them, I'm going to share with you the picture or pictures that are famously associated with them. But before I get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right channel, because that's all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please put hot dog water ice cubes in the like button's lemonade. Also subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's
You can't forget the Mr. Ballen dance. Yeah, I need somebody to go back and make a Mr. Ballen dance compilation of every single Mr. Ballen dance I did. 3 minutes, number 3.
At 7:27 p.m. on February 9th, 2004, a woman called the Grafton County Sheriff's Department to report a car accident. A small black sedan appeared to be wedged up against a snowbank off the side of the highway near this woman's house in Woodsville, New Hampshire. The sheriff thanked her for calling and dispatched officers to check it out. 16 minutes later, at 7:43 p.m., the sheriff's department gets another call about this black sedan up against the snowbank, and it came in from a local school bus driver. The driver said he was going down the road and he sees this black sedan up against the side of the road, and what appeared to be the driver, this young woman, no one was helping her. So the school bus driver pulls over and walks up to her. She says her name is Maura Murray. She's 21 years old. She's a college student in Massachusetts. She seemed totally fine, but was adamant that he did not call the police. And so the school bus driver at the time didn't call the police. He kind of sized her up as seeming like she was okay. She said she was going to call for a tow truck. And so he left thinking she was going to be just fine. But only a couple of minutes after leaving the scene, he felt like, you know what, I got to call the police because something just seemed off. The sheriff tells him that they had already gotten a call about 20 minutes earlier and that officers would be there any minute, and I'm sure she's just fine. 3 minutes later, the officer who was originally dispatched to check out this black sedan shows up and radios in and says, the black sedan is here, but there's no girl, there's no driver. Police do an initial search of the area. They can't find Maura. There's no sign of where she would have gone. There's no sign of a struggle. They get in touch with Maura's family. They can't get in touch with Maura. And so it's like she just kind of vanished. And so that night, they labeled Maura officially a missing person. On February 8th, the day before Maura went missing, she was with her father. They went out to eat, and he would say to police that she seemed totally normal. There was no red flags. There was no clear stressors in her life. Everything just seemed normal. The next morning when she gets up on February 9th, this is the day she goes missing, she finds out that all of her classes that day have been canceled because of a snowstorm. She gets up, goes over to her computer, and emails all of her professors as well as her work supervisor and tells them that there's been a death in her family and she needs to take the next week off. Family members would say that there was no death in the family, that was a lie. After emailing her professors, she drives to an ATM, withdraws $280, and then goes to a liquor store and buys $40 worth of alcohol. She also stopped at the Amherst DMV to get some paperwork she needed for some damage that had been done to her car. After that, we don't really know what she was doing until she wound up on that snowbank in Woodsville, New Hampshire. When police searched her abandoned car, they found printed out directions to a condo complex in Burlington, Vermont. Cell phone records show Maura had placed a call to one of the owners of a condo that had been put up for rent, but Maura had not indicated to anyone in her life that she was looking to rent a condo in Burlington, Vermont. Nor had she indicated to anyone that she might be traveling to Vermont for any reason. When they searched her dorm room, all of her belongings had been packed and her room had been meticulously cleaned. It was clear that she was getting ready to leave her dorm, but this is mid-semester. There's no reason she'd be leaving prematurely. And on top of her belongings in her dorm room was this typed up note to her boyfriend detailing all of their relationship issues. It wasn't a breakup note, but it was definitely something close to that. Most of Maura's belongings were either in her dorm room, all packed up, or in her abandoned car. But her cell phone, debit cards, and credit cards were all missing. However, they were never used again after the day she went missing, February 9th. 6 days after Maura went missing, a massive search is conducted around her abandoned car. They covered 20 square miles. They had helicopters, they had scent sniffing dogs, they had hundreds of people on the ground, and there was just no trace of her. But even more strangely, on the night Maura went missing, there was snow on the ground. So you'd think you'd be able to find a couple footprints showing you where Maura might have gone.
Right.
But there was none. And the scent-sniffing dogs could only track her scent about 100 feet away from the car before they lost the scent. It was like she vanished into thin air. So something happened to Maura Murray between 7:46 p.m. when the bus driver left the scene and called the police. He said she was there, he saw her, and 7:49 p.m. when the officer who was dispatched arrived on scene and Maura's not there. She went somewhere, we just don't know where or why or with who. And unfortunately, to this day, this case remains unsolved. Here is the final picture of Maura Murray. This is her withdrawing $280 at that ATM shortly before she hopped back in her car, drove up to Woodsville, New Hampshire, crashed on the side of the road, and then disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think the boyfriend is a prime suspect. You leave mid-semester, that's like midterms is coming up, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to miss midterms in college, so that's like a red flag for me. First red flag was her just saying, oh, we have a death in the family, when there was no death in the family, right? And I don't know, he said it wasn't a red flag for him, but I noticed a red flag when he was like, hey, I'm just going to call the police. No, don't call the police. That's a weird reaction to say, don't call the police. You could be like, oh, no, I'm good. You know, tell somebody, no, don't call the police, right? So it makes me believe that she was packing up to run from somebody. I believe she bought the liquor to kind of calm her nerves. She probably was panicking and stuff like that. Maybe liquor helped her settle down. And then it's the fact that she left a note, consider her boyfriend and her issues and stuff like that, was kind of like sending you a hint like, hey, I think my boyfriend may have something to do with something if I go missing or something like that. It's kind of like a piece of evidence she left behind to kind of like point detectives or police officers in the right direction if she does go missing, right? And I don't think she made it in time. I don't know. Like, my thing is, if she crashed off on the side of the road, maybe she was speeding and lost control and then ran inside the embankment, and then whoever was looking for her ended up finding her. They said she only could track them 100 feet, but like, who's to say that she was even walking in the snow? She could have got grabbed and pulled out of her car and then put into another car and taken somewhere else, you get what I'm saying? And then you're gonna take out $280. Your room was packed up. You wasn't able to make it back to grab the rest of your things because whoever you was hiding from managed to get their hands on you, right? I don't know. I feel like they need to dig deeper. I feel like she was leaving a lot of clues there. I feel like she was like panicking. Some people are so terrified of people, they feel like if you call the police, it's going to make their situation worse. She already said that her boyfriend and stuff like that was like weird and sketchy and all that stuff, right? So if you call the police, people think you calling the police is going to make the situation worse. Can it? It possibly could, because, you know, they're like, oh, you call the police, and if you don't have no evidence of them doing anything, the police is not going to do nothing. Time and time again, we see like on different reaction videos that the police, if they don't have evidence of you being stalked, you don't have evidence of that person bothering you or attacking you or text messages, they're not going to do anything. And if they don't do anything, they're going to be like, okay, bet. You tried to get me in trouble, now you just made it worse. But yeah, that's unfortunate that happened to her, you know what I'm saying? But let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. If I missed anything, let me know. Because sometimes I be thinking about what I want to say while he's talking, then he says something else and I forget about what I was going to say. But that's my take on it. I think they need to look deeper into the boyfriend, because I don't feel like the reason for the alcohol was, it had to be nerves, bro. The alcohol was like nerves. It had to calm her nerves. Drinking. Dinner date number 2. No.
Armin Meiwes seemed like a really good guy. He mowed his neighbor's lawn, he offered to fix his friends' cars, he would host these great dinner parties at his house. But underneath that charming outer layer, Armin Meiwes was a deeply disturbed individual. In 2001, Armin would place an ad on the internet seeking a young, well-built man that is looking to be slaughtered and then consumed. Meiwes actually got a lot of replies to this, and people acted like they were interested, but I think people were just responding because it was such an outrageous thing he was asking for, so no one went through with it. Until a man named Bernard Brandis saw it, who had previously placed an ad on the internet himself, asking if there was anybody out there that would slaughter and eat him. So perfect match. So Brandis reaches out to Armin and says, yes, I'd love to. And on March 9th, 2001, the two meet up at Armin's house. Brandis lays down in the bathtub while Armin sets up a video camera. He wants to film this for a variety of reasons, but mostly he wants to make sure that everybody sees that Brandis is doing this willingly. On camera, Brandis gives Armin the go-ahead. Initially, Armin tries biting into Brandis, but apparently he was too chewy, so Brandis suggests he gets a knife. After successfully removing a piece of Brandis, Armin fries it up in a pan, and the two of them begin to eat it. But apparently it was too burned to either of their liking, and they would feed that piece of him to the dog. At this point, Brandis is in and out of consciousness because he's losing a lot of blood, so Armin decides to take a break and go to his room and read a Star Trek book. When Armin goes back in the bathroom, it's clear that Brandis is still alive, but he's on the verge of death. So, after much deliberation and quite a bit of praying, Armin ultimately ends Brandis's life and then proceeds to butcher him and put all of his meat into a freezer. Over the next 10 months, Armin would consume over 44 pounds of Brandis. In December of 2001, Armin put another ad online seeking somebody else that wanted to be eaten, and that ad would get sent to the police, who would go to Armin's house. They would find Brandis's remains behind pizza boxes in the back of his freezer, and they would arrest Armin. Despite showing police the videotape that showed Brandis repeatedly consenting to what was happening to him, Armin was still given a life sentence. This is the picture that Brandis put online in hopes that it would attract someone that would want to eat him. And this is the bathtub where Armin Meiwes would grant Brandis that wish.
I don't know how I feel about that one, because technically he's not wrong. I know a lot of you guys are like, what, Zems, you're crazy? Why would you say something like that? But how is it murder if he consented to it, right? That's like you saying like, hey man, slap me. And I slap you, why would I get arrested for assault if you told me to do it? It's weird because it's just like, if you told me to do it and you allow me to do it, does that mean it's murder? Because if he didn't do it, then someone else is going to do it, but then they still like, oh, that still doesn't make it right. Let me know down in the comment section what you think. But this man consumed 44 pounds of another human being, and he was comfortable with it. And the fact that they was trying different ways, filet mignon and raw and baking it and frying it, and how do you just wake up and be like, you know what, I want to eat human today? Like, how does that even cross your mind? And how you even wake up today like, I want somebody to eat me? Like, not in a good way. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all some freaks out there, but no, I want somebody to eat my flesh. Like, that's insane to think about. And I hope that bathtub was cleaner than what it looked like, because that was unsanitized as well. What would be the aphrodisiac for the human body? You know, some people are like, oh, the brain is for this person, the animal, or whatever, blah, blah. What would it be for the human? Don't move. Hey,
A disaster began to quietly unfold at 8:49 a.m. on April 16th, 2014. The Sewol ferry that was on a routine trip to Jeju Island in South Korea was beginning to lean very badly to one side. The ferry had recently undergone illegal renovations, adding a whole bunch of new rooms to the top of the ferry that made it much more profitable, but dangerously top-heavy. Corrupt regulators who were bought off with fancy dinners and travel allowed the ship to sail unsafe despite never having stepped foot on board. Had they gone on the ship themselves, they would have seen immediately how unsafe it was. On April 16th, the day this ferry is making its way to Jeju Island and is now leaning to one side, ferry workers had loaded twice the legal limit onto the ferry and then hadn't properly secured really any of it. So there were cars and shipping containers that were not tethered. So as the badly balanced Sewol ferry is making its way out to Jeju Island, it hits some very strong currents and makes a sharp turn to avoid them, causing the ship to begin to keel over. As soon as it begins to keel over, all those unsecured cars and containers all shift all at once to one side of the ship, causing it to completely roll over on its side and begin sinking. On board were 476 passengers, of which 325 were high school students on a school trip. As soon as the ship comes to rest on its side, the captain comes over the intercom and tells everybody to stay in your rooms and await further instruction.
When they say that, do not stay in your room, bruh. Get your ass to the deck and see what's going on. I'm not staying in my room, bruh. And the fact that you have to understand, like, we as, consumers, whatever it is, we go out and we buy stuff all the time. We buy trips and stuff like that. And it makes you believe, like, how many times are people taking shortcuts with our safety? You know what I'm saying? What if somebody's having a bad day and they don't latch something down, or they forget to latch something, or like, oh, it's gonna be okay, I don't feel like doing it, or I don't feel like doing it, so I'm not gonna do it. And that can jeopardize people's lives, and we don't talk about that kind of stuff. Like, sometimes people take shortcuts, bruh. It just lets you know if they're willing to put extra rooms and stuff like that and be bought out to make it look nicer and make more money. That's what they care about at the end of the day. They care about making money. But some places actually care about your safety, and it's only one place like, when it comes to traveling that I trust with 100% of my life, and that's Delta Airlines, bro. I've traveled like on a lot of different flights, but I don't know why, but Delta makes me feel the safest. That's just my opinion. Let me know down in the comment section if you have any traveling companies or anything like that that make you feel safe, or that you use all the time when you decide to travel with family or take vacations or anything like that. I still want to get on the side of a cruise ship, but before I do that, I want to do my research and all that stuff. And I want to know if you can carry weapons on there or not, because I'm not going on a cruise ship empty-handed. I heard too many horror stories, but I always want to go to an island and stuff like that, so that's why I want to go on a cruise ship too. And I also don't know if I'm going to get seasick, but a lot of people say that you can't feel the seasickness while you're on the deck or on the ship. You can't really feel it unless you're like on the bottom floor or something like that, but I don't know. Let me know.
And everybody listens. They all stay in their room. And honestly, you can't blame them, because they're on a routine ferry trip that happens dozens of times a day without any incident, and the captain of the ship is telling you everything's fine, you just stay where you are, we'll tell you what to do next.
Nope.
After a little while, a lot of the students start to feel a little bit anxious because there's been no further instruction. They're still sideways, and they're starting to realize that if they needed to, it would be hard to get out of the ship. A lot of them were way into the bowels of the ship, and they would literally need to climb up and out of the ship to safety. A student actually called the authorities and said, "Hey, I think the ship I'm on is sinking." And the authorities hadn't heard of it because the captain and the crew of the ship were just totally crippled and could not make a decision, and had wasted all this time that they could have been evacuating people and getting help, and instead were just panicked and frozen in terror. There would be over 20 calls from students pleading with authorities to come save them, because now they know the ship is sinking, because they can hear the sound of water rushing into the ship, and it's just a matter of time before it reaches them. Finally, almost an hour after the ship had originally keeled over onto its side, the captain issues the evacuation call to the whole ship. But at this point, water's already getting into the compartments where these students have been told to stay, and students aren't able to leave, and there's this panic to get out of the ship. So the evacuation order was doing nothing. It was already too late. One person who survived, who had left early and disobeyed the stay in your room order, they had climbed to the top of the ship, which was really the side of the ship, and they were looking down into the ship through a hallway.
I told y'all, bro, I'm a survival expert. I'm not like no Bear Grylls or anything like that, bro. I told you. Anytime they say, hey, remain calm, stay seated, no. Hell to the no. Send one person from each room, bro. Send one designated person to go check, bro, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to tell you everything that's going on. And the one person that disobeyed everything they was talking about got to safety. You think I'm about to sit on a damn tilted ship and wait for you to give me instructions? Nah, bruh. I seen Titanic. I seen Poseidon. I seen them pirate movies and boat movies. No, bruh. Once water get in there, it's a wrap. Like, you're gonna have a hard time getting out of there, bruh. You know, water's gonna make it harder to open doors, and it's gonna be pushing furniture and stuff and blocking exits. Nah, bruh. I would've climbed my ass right to the top and stay on the side of the ship. Who gonna stop me? You better bring the whole staff and the captain himself, cause I'm not playing those games, bruh. Especially my life is on the line. Talking about some stay, we got it under control. Bro, we're sideways. This shit's not supposed to be sideways.
And they said there was this mass of people that were coming out of their rooms and trying to climb up this hallway right as a rush of water poured in through the side of this hallway and completely filled it, and they were gone. Later on, when divers would go down to recover the bodies, they would find that many of the students had broken fingers from desperately trying to climb up those hallways when water was pouring in on them. After the divers recovered the bodies, investigators began going through their cell phones to get some sense of what happened. And on their phones were these tragic pictures and videos of these students staying in their rooms like they were told to do, just waiting for their captain to give them further instruction that never came. The captain actually abandoned ship right after that 9:30 call to evacuate came, when hundreds of students were still down below. He left the ship. So they were totally on their own, just waiting for help that never came. Of the 476 passengers, 304 would perish, and many believe that almost all of them could have been saved had they just evacuated as soon as the ship keeled over. And so as a result of his gross negligence, the captain was given a life sentence.
Good.
So that's going to do it, guys. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these 3 stories, and I will pin the best comment at the top of the comment section. If you enjoyed today's video and you haven't done this already, please put hot dog water ice cubes in the like button's lemonade. Also subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. If you want to get in touch with me, you can direct message me on Instagram or on Twitter. My username is the same on both platforms. It's just John Ballen 416. I also have a ton of content over on TikTok where my username is Mr. Ballen. If you have a story suggestion, please submit it to our subreddit. It's just called Mr. Ballen. So whether I see you on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, or some combination, just know that I really appreciate your support. And until next time, guys, that's going to do it. See ya.
Man, bro, like that just lets you know how human beings will risk everybody's life to save their own skin. They literally sat there for an hour thinking about how they can save themselves and how they can get out of the situation instead of evacuating everybody immediately, bro. 300 and something people died, bro. If I was one of those survivors, bro, I would have kicked his ass, bro. I'm sorry, I know I don't promote violence on this channel, bro. I would have beat the brakes off this dude, bro. You just killed somebody's brother, sister, best friends, you know, uncles, and you just killed all these people, bro. Trying to make more money. That's insane. Adding extra illegal features to something that you didn't even have permission for. I forgot how some of his videos can be so sad, man. Yeah, drowning, fire, and suffocation are my top 3 most feared deaths. That's just me. Let me know down in the comment section what yours is. And it's the fact that you have to be so destined and determined to get out of there alive that you break your fingers in the process, man. And you probably was still trying to use those fingers to climb. They broke their fingers. That's how hard they was gripping to try to make it to the top, bro. But yeah, man, this video is by Mr. Ballen. So if you guys haven't already, man, be sure you swoop down the description box, click on the link and watch the video in entirety, because I was pausing and stopping and talking through the whole thing. If you guys are new to the channel, and welcome to the crow's nest. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.